Welcome back to the part 3 of the introduction in the cloud computing workshop. In this part, we are going to learn some powerful tools that can help you use cloud service easily. We'll cover Cloud Web Console, Cloud Shell, and the command line interface in this section. So first, we take a look at the AWS Web Console. So what is Web Console? Web Console is a web application that allows you to manage and use the various cloud products. You can access the Web Console from any browser and sign in with your account and password. Take this AWS Web Console as an example. You can just go to the website, console.aws.amazon.com, and log into your account, and you'll see this kind of page. The Web Console has a navigation part at the top of the page, where you can switch your region and access your account information. You also can see some common used package on the dashboard. So, of course, in the navigation bar, you can search for other products whenever you need it, as long as you know the product's name. The Web Console also have the dashboard with the widgets that show you the important information about your AWS resources, such as billing, health, usage, and product you used. You can customize the dashboard by adding or removing widgets. The Web Console helps you discover new service, configure them, and monitor those products easily. So say now I want to create an instance. All you need to do is type EC2 in the search bar. EC2 means Elastic Compute Cloud. This is a cloud service that lets you run application on a virtual machine in the AWS cloud. You can choose different type and size of your virtual machine. It's easy to scale up and down on EC2 resources, depends on what you need. You can also use EC2 to host a website, do data analysis, process data, run simulation, or something more. After you hit enter, you can see the service and all related products as well. So another way to assess what you need is to click the service icon. So this will show you a list of all product or service you can pick up. They are grouped into categories like analytic, compute, container, database, and so on. You can explore each category and find the best product for your need. You also can see the service you recently used. It's an easy way to keep track of what you have been used and find the things you need again. So just scroll down the page and you will see the list of your recent activity, and you can click any one of them and go back to the service and learn something more about it. So now, if I want to use the compute resources, I just click the category compute, and you will find the product like AppRunner, EC2 Image Builder, Lambda, or something more. And there are different types of compute service that AWS offers for various workloads and use cases. For example, AppRunner is a fully managed service that allows you to run containerized web application without managing any infrastructure. And EC2, as we already know, is a flexible service that lets you launch virtual machine with the choice of processor, storage, and networking. EC2 Image Builder is a service that helps you create and manage a customized image for your EC2 instance. And Lambda is a function service that lets you run your code in response to some spatial events. So you can learn more about this and or other compute service on the AWS website. As you can notice that the little star next to the some product on this page. This means I add them add those products to my favorite list. In this way, I can keep track of these things and easy to find the product I want to use. So all products you mark as a favorite will be also shown on the navigation bar on the top of the web page. So after we have some basic idea about the Web Console, here I want to introduce a little icon on the top. We call it the Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is a tool that lets you use the terminal online and manage your cloud resources. You don't need to install anything on your local computer. So just open a browser and start typing commands. Depending on the cloud provider, you can choose different shell, like a Bash shell in Linux or PowerShell in Microsoft Azure machine. CloudShell also has some handy tools to help you develop the code or for your workload. It's free service and does give you access to a Linux environment with some pre-installed tool and programming language. It's like having a mini workstation in the cloud. However, please keep in mind that CloudShell has a very limited computing resources and storage. So it's not designed for a heavy duty loading. So CloudShell will be also reset after 20 to 30 minutes of idle time. So make sure you save your work before you leave the CloudShell. And in addition to the Linux shell utility, CloudShell also provides some basic software development kits. We call it SDK. Some essential tools like VIM, which is editor, Git, wget, or Mac. You can use those cloud commands to interact with your cloud resources and products. CloudShell supports various programming languages such as Python 3, Go in GCP, Ruby, Java, PHP, or even Node.js. So you can write, test, and deploy your code using the CloudShell in minutes without installing those languages in your local computer. So once you click the CloudShell icon, you can see a Linux terminal on the browser, something like this. First, you can see the region you're using, like the US West 2 I'm running. This shows the default region after you log in. And as I just mentioned, there are several useful tools and language already installed in the CloudShell. So you can just use them to edit your script or your code and save those profile or your work in the cloud storage later on. So to work on the file you use on the CloudShell, besides using the terminal command, you also can use the pull-down menu on the top right corner for your convenience. GCP also has a web console for user to manage the cloud resources on GCP. It's similar to AWS, but just the interface looks different. The address of GCP Web Console is console.cloud.google.com. This is a portal to use all GCP products. As I mentioned in the previous part, the GCP service you can use is under an umbrella called project. A project is like your home base where you can access all APIs, set up your building, invite your friend to cooperate, and mainly control who can do what. Creating a project is easy. Your project will also have a project number and a project ID. The project number is a random number that GCP assigned to your project. However, the project ID is a unique name you can choose or let the GCP pick up for you. And the project ID is important because you will need it to identify your project in GCP command and all the APIs. So you can create as many projects you want and give them different names. In a way, you can organize your resources and service according to what you need. For example, you can have a project for your personal website, another one for your data analysis, and another one for your machine learning experience. So you can also switch between projects easily and management all of the project from the same web console. So before starting using product on GCP, you may want to check the GCP service status dashboard to see the current health of all the service you are using. This dashboard provides information on service outage or some message about temporary issue which affect your work. The health dashboard is updated regularly by the GCP engineering team, so you can see the most or accurate and up-to-date information available. You can also subscribe to receive notification by email when there is a new update. So by this chance, I would like to talk a little bit about the building things on GCP. The GCP built-in dashboard, something like this, is a handy tool that lets you see how much you are spending on GCP service. You can access it from the web console, and the dashboard shows you a chart of your usage of all projects linked to your billing account. Okay, you can fill it. You can use the filter or the group the data by different criterion, like project number, service, or location you're using. So you can also see your invoice, statement, or receipt, or price list. So the dashboard helps you to understand and optimize your GCP cost. So in GCP Web Console, you can click the icon on the top left corner and to see all the project available for your, to see all the products available for your project. And it's pretty easy and handy to use to explore different feature and service. You can also search for a special product, a specific product by typing name in the search box or navigation bar. So for example, I want to create an instance on GCP to run a Python script. So from this menu, I go to the compute category and find the compute engine page. You can see many products available in the compute engine page, like VM instance, which is the virtual machine instance, or TPU, which is a tensor process unit. So TPU is a kind of processor designed for machine learning work. It is optimized to run TensorFlow, and TensorFlow is a popular framework for machine learning and deep learning. So TPU can perform a lot of calculation in parallel, which makes your processor or analyzer faster and more efficient than a CPU or even GPU, but only for some applications. A TPU also uses less power and generate less heat than other processors, so which is good for the environment and for your electricity bill. So if you want to mark some product as your favorite, you can simply put a small pin next to the product name, like what I show over here. Then you can access your pin product from the top navigation bar anytime. So GCP also provides a Cloud Shell like AWS. It's a feature that lets you access a Linux terminal from your browser. You can use it to run command, script, or tool on the GCP product. It's like you have a small virtual machine in the cloud, but the good thing is you don't need to pay anything for it. In addition to Web Console, there is another method to work on cloud resources, which is Cloud Command Line Interface, CLI. Cloud CLI is a tool that lets you interact with cloud service from command line on your terminal. You can use it to create, manage, and monitor your cloud resources, as well as like running script, perform workload. For example, you can use a Cloud CLI to create a virtual machine, upload a file to your storage bucket, or deploy an app or function. So to use the Cloud CLI, you will need to install the software to your local machine and configure it with your cloud account. So let's see how to do that. To install the CLI tool for your cloud service, just go to the website, the cloud provider website, offshore website, and get the right package for your operation system on your local computer. You might get a zip or tar file, which you can unzip and find a folder with the installation steps. Usually in the README file. In the README file, follow those steps to install the software on your local computer. But one thing I want to mention that please make sure the package version match your operation system and the machine. So especially if you have a new Mac with a M1 or M2 processor. So another handy tip after you install the Cloud CLI is you put the execute file in your .bash profile or bash RC. Simply just open bash profile or bash RC file using your editor and set up the path and restart the terminal, and you're ready to go. So as mentioned in the beginning, we need to set up some initial configuration. So the CLI software will know your account information to access the cloud resources you want to use. Depending on what cloud provider you choose, you might need to enter some different things. However, most of those information require your account ID and the default region. So you can find those information in the IAM dashboard on website console. We take AWS example. For initial configuration, you need to have access key ID and the secret access key. Those are information that allows you to authorize your request to the AWS. So you can create or manage your access key in the AWS Web Console just under the IAM service. You can also specify a default region, which is the physical geographic region where all your resources or product are located. So to set up the default region, you can use either Web Console or command line interface. So usually the cloud CLI command has a general format, and you need to know the right syntax. Let's take AWS as example. The basic structure of command is AWS plus option and followed by product and an action. So for example, you can use the region as an option to tell AWS CLI which region you want to use for your operation. Or you can also use the profile option to switch between the different set of configuration. So the product is the cloud service you want to use, and the action, the last item, tell the CLI what you want to do. For example, so like the line I show over here, I want to create a cloud storage, a bucket actually, name my bucket in the region US East 1. So the entire command will be very simple, just AWS S3 API, create bucket, and in the option will have the bucket followed by my bucket name, the storage bucket name, and I need to specify the region to US East 1. Similar things on GCP. So GCP CLI has very, very similar format and structure. This means all of the option, product, and action are same as AWS. Probably the only big difference is to change the key command from AWS to G-Cloud. So like this example I showed in the bottom, to create a new compute instance and name my instance in the US Central 1A zone, you can just use the command G-Cloud compute instance, create my instance, and followed by the option zone equals the US Central 1-A. So far, we have learned a little bit about cloud computing, like what it does, what it offers, and how much it costs. But before you jump into the cloud computing, there's one more thing you need to think about. Which cloud provider is right for you? So the answer depends on some factor we will discuss. The first one is total cost. You want to get the best value for your money. So compare the price of different providers and see what they offer in terms of storage, bandwidth, processor, or something more. And some cloud providers also have some hidden costs that you need to be aware of. Collaborators. If you are working with the team, you need a cloud provider that supports collaboration and communication. Look for features like file sharing, chatting, or even video conferencing or project management. So you want to make sure your collaborator can access a cloud service or data or product from their end. Depends on the type or sensitivity of your data. You might follow some certain regulation or standard regarding where and how you can save your data. So please check with the cloud provider about their security policy to make sure that their security policy fits your requirement. And one of the benefits to use cloud computing is you can access a variety of tools or applications without installing those programs on your local computer. So it depends on your need. You may want to look the cloud provider that offer the tool for analyze machine learning or web development or something you want. And you also want to see the compatibility and the integration of these tools with your existing software or program. The last, you want to choose a cloud provider that you feel comfortable with. So this means you like their user interface, customer service, documentation, and the community. You also want to make sure they have a good reputation and record in both industry and academic fields. So of course, there are still some other factors which are special for your situation. So the most important thing to do is please do some research and compare your option before you make the final decision. So that'll be all for this introduction, but this introduction is just the first part of Cloud Computing Workshop series. So we will explore more about the AWS and GCP in the coming workshops. Thank you.